Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of This Ain't Fake Brother. I'm Neill Marshall. After 1 week absence, Ken is still not here, but I am joined by my brethren from the sister podcast, the ITK Soccer Show. So it's a tremendous opportunity for you guys to plug that show while you're on this one. Dan O'Carroll and John Carroll. How you doing, guys?
Good. It's about it.
Yeah, it's pretty handy that you guys are used to coming to my house to do a podcast and you also like wrestling.
It does help.
Yeah. So this being the third show I've ever done without Ken, I probably should have gotten you in sooner. But anyway, we're here and we're gonna do our very, very best. We don't have Ken's in-depth research into the classic review, but we're going to do something that we all remember pretty well, and we're also going to do a classic review that we're sure a lot of people who listen to the show have actually seen. So there's a benefit of, you know, I guess when we review shows, people haven't seen them, and it might be an impetus to go and do so. This will be more so talking about a memory from a day when almost everybody who we know who used to watch wrestling actually watched wrestling. That being Wrestlemania 2000. We've got the usual podcast review as well. We've got 2 weeks worth of that because there was no show last week. We'll be running over Monday Night Raw from last night, or 2 nights ago by the time you listen to this. And of course going over all the news over the last week. We're not going to cover it over the last 2 weeks because it has been pretty barren. But let's start off with that. So I don't know how much you guys saw about this, but a lot of the news sites, and I use the word news as in news with a Z, like WrestleZone 411 and non-reputable websites.
Oh, yes. News
sites.
So Twitter said it.
Literally WrestleZone and 411 were the 2 places I saw it. Speaking about an Austin in-ring return that was supposed to be said in his podcast. Now, unless I was completely out to lunch, I never heard him mention this, and he supposedly come out and refuted it. He'd been speaking recently, I don't know how much you guys listen to Steve Austin show, but he'd been speaking recently about getting back into shape, so on and so forth. But I think we might as well not get excited about it because nobody who has any sort of salt is reporting this.
The last person I saw him fight was Adam Sandler in Grown Ups 2.
How did that go?
He lost to Adam Sandler. Well, he took a dive, to be honest. Fair play to him.
Jesus.
He jobbed to Sandler.
He jobbed to Sandler. So
God.
He says no to Brock in 2002, but yes to Sandler.
Jesus, like even Bob Barker took out Adam Sandler.
Did he? We did.
Happy Gilmore.
He's got a great record then.
And he took out Jericho too.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was actually one of the best segments of all time, by the way.
But I don't know. I don't really want it. I think, like,
you don't want it.
I don't want an Austin return now.
Well, he said himself for a long time he's only willing to do it if he can be as good as he was.
I think I'd like to see if he could pull off one good match. Like I think there is one match in him if he's feeling okay, because the way he kind of went out, it was just kind of like everyone thought Austin would wrestle again.
Yeah, that's the
no one really
the one
thought
thing that kind of upsets people.
That's what upsets me about it, because like it was like
match.
If everyone had known, like I know the way it was supposed to be Rock and Austin, and Austin was he in hospital the night before or something? He was having a panic attack or something or whatever it was, and then so they were we'll just put Brock Kurt. It was obviously it was a good match as well.
That's only recently that it came out. We've always known that there was issues the night before.
But Rock Austin should have main evented.
It's supposed.
They should have. If maybe did Austin know it was his final match? I don't know.
Yes.
If he did, they should have said, "This is my final match, and I'm going to preserve what I've always been able to do, is almost beat The Rock as my number one adversary."
Yeah, I don't know if that would have helped the build up. It definitely would have helped the interest. However, I guess people can cite his anxiety to the fact it was his last match, and maybe even announcing it, he might have known himself would have put too much pressure on him, because I think he wanted to finish there and then because he was in so much trouble.
I think The Rock would have carried him though, like.
Well, either way, they were, whether they announced it or not, they would have had a good match.
It's a great match.
Just briefly, one more thing on Austin. John said he wouldn't want to see it again, and it's obviously because you wouldn't want to see Austin's last match be a shell of himself. But if people are convinced, and people obviously are, that WWE can book a match strong enough to have Sting go 20 minutes and it not be a disaster. Like, I know Sting hasn't had the neck or knee issues Austin has had, but, he's older than Austin. And I think Austin could probably be protected to the point where it wouldn't be that much of an expose if he wasn't up to it,
Well, the last person I saw who was protected was The Rock headlining against Cena, and both of them were awful matches, I thought. So
first one was okay, no?
I just thought they were very stale.
I like the first one. No, I had nothing wrong with the first one. The first build-up was good. The second one was...
No, the build-up was good, but the match itself
second one was terrible. Everything about that.
We'll be talking a lot about The Rock and the idea of him wrestling again. Another thing we're going to do at the end of the show, the lads have actually made a dream card for Wrestlemania 31. And after Rock returning last night on Raw, I presume he'll be heavily featured in both cards. So we'll talk about The Rock and what he has left in the tank one thing for sure, before we even get to it, Raw last night was no great shakes, and he really, really helped the show be bearable, even if it was just for his own segment. Okay, so WWE are going to be releasing a Jerry Lawler DVD soon, and when you think of names of people that they haven't yet released a DVD of, first thing that comes to mind is that they're kind of running out of people. But the second thing that comes to mind is, how have they not done a Jerry one yet?
Yeah, it'd be all Memphis, wouldn't it be all that?
Well, no, there's issue with
get any of that, can they?
There's an issue with the rights to it. So I don't know how much they'll do. Like, he had that great match he had, TLC match on Raw with The Miz. Like, they could have done one just after that. It would have been perfect. Included that, because, you know.
They're not going to add his heart attack in, are they?
So what we're trying to say is...
They will.
Jerry Lawler versus Steve Austin and a couple of DVDs to be released after, is that...
Could you imagine? Yeah, they'll do a rivalry set based on one match.
I really enjoyed that rivalry, though, with him and The Miz and stuff.
It was good.
I thought it was really good. Like, I remember they brought Brian Christopher back and everything.
Yeah, I remember on the previous show, I can't remember what match it was, but I said it was the best I'd seen The Miz, and Ken brought up that match. And yeah, that was probably...
Like, Lawler was getting the pop of the night.
And Miz was hot going into that WrestleMania feud with Cena, and that was a really nice way to tie him over until then, after he won the belt.
But the problem was, though, he was feuding against Lawler and stuff. He never main evented the pay-per-view before as champion going into Mania. And that's why he bottled it.
Yeah.
He couldn't... He needed to main event... Of course, Cena kept having... It was Cena Barrett at TLC, wasn't it?
Sure.
Where he buried him on all the chairs. Rumble was the Rumble match.
Okay.
And the Chamber was when Cena...
Rumble was a rematch between Lawler and Miz. Is that right?
No.
Did they not do that at the Rumble?
No, it was...
You remember, John?
Was it not Orton Miz?
That
and Orton, remember, he's in Missouri.
Timeline-wise, that would make sense.
And I think A-Roy cost him, and then A-Roy cost Cena then.
Okay.
I think. Right. I think that was it. I can't remember. It wasn't a great run, but, you know.
Hogan's been in the news. I don't know if you guys saw this. His nephew, I believe. I think it's his nephew, or it could be somebody similar degree of separation of relation from him. That was a good sentence. He's doing a reality TV show called My Girlfriend Wants a Girlfriend. He's an MMA fighter. He never used the name Hogan before, but for the sake of getting the reality TV show some traction, he's using the Hogan name. And basically the show is women competing to basically be in a three-way relationship with him and his bisexual girlfriend. TMZ had an interview with Hogan. He's very upset about this. It's the last thing Hogan needs after the couple of years he's had and the sordid affairs.
Did you see the news that broke today?
Go ahead.
That his son has had his phone hacked. And there's naked pictures of
his
mother.
I have seen these pictures.
Of his mother?
Yes.
I saw
Mrs.
these
Hogan?
pictures.
Yes.
They're not naked pictures.
No, but they're not.
Why has he got...
He's got pictures of his man posing in a thong.
Why?
Well, why did Hogan put suntan lotion all over Brooke's vagina and it was filmed, you know?
They're a weird family, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's good to see the son's out of jail, though.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Didn't he kill your man in the car, wasn't he?
He's a DJ now or something.
He's a DJ now. No, he didn't kill him, but he left him in a vegetative state. I don't actually know how his friend is getting on.
The way Kane left Rey Mysterio. Or the Kane left Undertaker in 2010.
We should lift this up a bit, I think.
Okay, what's next here? I can't read my own writing, so I'm going to skip that. Oh, yes. They were...
Teddy Long. Looks like.
Oh, Teddy Long. Yeah, sorry.
Like Teddy Long.
No, it's the thing under that. Can you read that? Yule Network?
WWE Network, I presume.
Oh, UK Network.
Oh, UK Network.
Okay, right.
A network, I presume.
We're jumping the gun here. Yeah, so Teddy Long, a lot of people wondered why Teddy Long was employed for so long. And supposedly in an RF Shoot interview that's coming out now, his first since leaving the company, he does pretty much open up about the fact that he was kept around because a lot of the boys were getting Viagra off him.
What?
Yeah, he was like you go to TV, you get some Viagra off Teddy.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Good man, Teddy.
Well, it makes
a
me think,
one-on-one match with the Undertaker.
Oh, a tag team match, player.
Jesus, the longest-serving black man on TV for wrestling's the drug dealer.
Speaking of people of African American heritage, the group that we thought was going to be long forgotten as a one-time only deal on Raw.
Were they not? They're doing that at house shows. They
are, and they have a name.
Do they?
Speed
The New Nation
Force.
Speed Force.
It's just terrible.
So who's in it? Kofi, Biggie, Xavier Woods, and
just that.
They put R-Truth in there as well. Just throw them all.
I have them in my WrestleMania.
Henry.
My dream WrestleMania lineup, I do.
Okay, well, let's leave it there. Finally, in the news, the UK
Take
network.
on the Four Horsemen.
Finally, in the news, the UK network has been delayed. It was supposed to come out in October. It was supposed to come out this month. The basically, all the information that we have at the moment is that it's going to be not launched but announced on November 1st when the date's going to be. So
they're going to push it for Mania.
I don't think this. I think it's a snag with Sky. It has to be.
Yeah, no, but I think they'll probably find a resolution and go for Mania, like the way they did with the US one.
Well, now hold on. Sky at the start of the year signed a deal to go into effect at the start of 2014 that all 12 pay-per-views are going to be on Sky Box Office. Okay.
Or Sky Sports.
No, they're all going to be on Sky Box Office. This was the deal that was signed
for 2015.
Sorry, starting 2015, I believe.
So they're all on box office.
They will be. So it's either going to be a case where the network is a different model to the US, where there's no pay-per-views on it, and it's just basically a glorified version of 24/7 on demand that they used to have, or they have a full network launch with all the pay-per-views. So I don't know how it works out. I'd say it'll
be the former.
Yeah, because
there's no way they can. Like Sky won't. Not unless they pay off Sky.
Yeah, I just
Which I don't
can't
know
believe they thought they'd get away with it.
Like, but if they're going to do that, surely then the network would only cost like €5 a month.
Well, look, listen, all I know is we're
they'd have to add more content for the UK one.
There is a lot on there. There is a lot
more
on
Legends
there.
House.
They don't have any more of that in the can. That's all being shown.
They could get the Hulk Hogan nephew show.
I remember I was listening to a podcast and somebody asked if Hogan Knows Best is going to be on the network. Unbelievable. But, all right, moving on to Monday Night Raw. Okay, so the show was in Brooklyn, New York, which meant that it was a far more lively crowd than past few weeks. But
Chicago was last week.
Yeah, but Chicago, even by Chicago
I didn't
standards,
think it was great, Chicago crowd last week.
Yeah, we didn't actually do a show about that.
I thought it was, like I know the Punk thing, obviously, and they kind of shut up that whole Punk thing at the very start.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good, by the way, but
yeah,
it's only Stephanie who can actually put him in his box, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they were pretty quiet the rest of the night. Obviously, there's a couple of smatterings when AJ came out.
But but you know what I mean? It just didn't seem that kind of buzz that Chicago usually had.
Well, it is.
Maybe there was Heyman on it last week. I can't remember, was he?
No. Yeah. He was, yeah. He came in the opening segment.
Oh, he did.
But he didn't do anything.
No, he didn't do anything.
Don't do that again.
The buzz is gone.
But it's in that deflated time of year or whatever that we're just like.
When no one, but they're just booked weekly, like you know. It's just
well, the last time they were in Chicago was the Punk rumors were still rampant, and in fact people had no. There was the Raw, wasn't it, before Mania?
And Heyman came out to his music.
Yeah, and so they thought.
No, but he's there for Payback as well.
Were they there for Payback?
Yeah.
Brian was there at that, wasn't he? That's why they did the ring with Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez, they've ran Chicago a lot, 3 times in the last.
Oh yeah, but I don't think they're scared of it now. I think once they got past that, was it March 4th in Chicago? I think it was March 4th or something. Once they got past that, which they put on a very good show, by the way, that night, which they needed to.
Yeah.
I think they were like, we can deal with these guys now, you know.
Okay, Monday Night Raw from Brooklyn, New York. We had Seth coming out and getting to the ring and basically complaining about Raw, not saying anything about SmackDown. It's just one of those deals where they ignored SmackDown, but then they had to acknowledge it heavily. Good man.
I'm the only person who's never done this. I tied my shoe while talking, but I never dropped my mic.
This is even move anything there.
Harkening back to the soccer show that we do with mics falling left, right, and centre. Just to let you know, Dan is using Hulk Hogan's biography, My Life Outside the Ring, as a little bit of a booster to get the mic up towards.
Does that work?
Yeah, it works.
We're back on.
Just like how his son is using the photos of his mother as a booster.
There you go.
So Seth came out and he was basically just complaining about what had happened to him the week before. Mercury Noble came out and started trying to persuade Seth to do something. Now, it wasn't very clear, and what was even less clear is why they weren't able to actually get in the ring to talk to him.
I'm enjoying how they're the new Patterson and Briscoe.
It's incredible. And the plan at the moment is them returning to the ring in some capacity.
Noble was great.
There will be a match. It probably will be John and Dean against those two at some stage.
So it would be like when Patterson and Briscoe took on the Mean Street Posse sort of thing.
If you're comparing Cena and Ambrose
in 99.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, Rollins was saying that he's delighted that everybody is after him. He's delighted to be a marked man, have the spotlight on him. This brought out Cena, who attacked Rollins. He dived over the barricade, ran through the crowd. He stalled for long enough that you knew Dean Ambrose was going to sneak up behind him, which he inevitably did. He chased Seth back over into the ringside area. Seth and John got in a fight, and then Dean dove on both of them. Seth got out of dodge. This brought out Hunter and Steph, while John and Dean were both still down at the ringside area. And Hunter and Steph said that they will have their opportunity to get their hands on Rollins tonight because it'll be a handicap match between Cena, Ambrose, against Rollins, Orton, and Kane. So this is the third consecutive show with some sort of combination of these people in the main event.
That's what annoyed me. I was like, I was watching it and I was like, this could be interesting. And they're like, triple threat, this could be great. It's like, and here's tag offer.
It's just like they don't seem to really. Well, like
they have Raw.
Like they've been doing this on SmackDown and what 2-3 weeks on Raw now.
It's incredible.
And it hasn't been a finish in any match.
Yeah, and
it's just like, come on, guys. It's like, come on. It's really lazy.
Yesterday was the worst finish.
It was.
But it's lazy. It's just laziness and just not caring. It's like, let's just... Like, I don't understand how Cena wasn't able to be pinned even yesterday. There was 3 of them killing him. Why couldn't they all just, like, beat the absolute crap out of him, leave him there, and pin him? It's not weakening Cena.
They don't do that at the best of times.
But you know what I mean? It makes... At least get a pin... Or something.
You know,
like you can't just keep doing and all it is Kane just comes in and gives someone a boot and it's a DQ.
Yeah,
that's been the finish for the last 4 weeks or something.
Yeah, we'll get to the finish of this one. It's just one of those things where when they were doing the Shield against a combination of Bryan, Kane, and somebody else like months on end, it was very tolerable because they were always great matches. Yeah. But the fact that these haven't been in any way great shakes makes it harder and harder every time.
Yeah, but I think also as well though, I enjoyed it that segment actually. It was gas though when Rollins goes up to the into the stand and then Ambrose standing behind him. He actually turned around and just looked at Ambrose for about 2 seconds and then realised it was him.
Yeah.
It was just like,
he actually put his arm out as in to say, hey buddy, as if he would have done that to a random fan. It's like, hold on a minute.
It took far too long though.
Yeah, it was very exposed. They actually showed a replay of it later and they showed the entire replay unedited and the announcer's like, and then Ambrose came from behind and there was like dead air for 2 seconds and Jerry Lawler's like, yep, here he comes. It's like bad edit. Okay, so
pause for editing.
Speaking of the announcers, they hyped up Big Show and the Rusev thing that was scheduled. They announced a match last week, but they said the Big Show had been sent to sensitivity training for his actions against the Russian flag last week, and tonight is Rusev and Landis' opportunity to respond. They kept pushing this over and over again. They kept also adding this line. There was such a Vince line from Michael Cole saying the reasons behind this may be political, which doesn't make any sense in either context of the word. And I just got so fucking furious. And then I realised, obviously, why they were pushing this so much. Because without wanting to spoil the surprise, they wanted people to tune in for it. So we'll get to that in a moment. Dolph Ziggler and the Usos defeated Cesaro and Goldust in a 6-man tag. This was by far the best match on the show, which isn't very high praise. It was the only good match on the show. The finish was Jey Uso pinning Stardust with a top rope splash. The heat spot was Goldust throwing Jimmy Uso into the steps and supposedly injuring his shoulder at the start of the match. What do you think of it?
These guys, Dolph, Usos, the Rhodes, and probably Cesaro. I'm just going to put him in there as well. Every week they have the match of the night. And that's
Dolph Ziggler without his Intercontinental belt that he left on a plane.
Yes.
Yeah, so who was it? Was it Air America? Why is there Canada?
Where did he how did he get it back? Or did they just give him a fake one?
They gave him a replica.
Yeah.
I think he made a quip on Twitter about
it.
Did,
it was like holograms are in these days, Vince. You might want to look into it.
That's amazing. Like, I don't know. We always speculate why Dolph is positioned the way he's positioned. But he's been slightly more favoured in the last few months, always on Raw, Intercontinental Champion. If there's one thing Vince didn't need to hear about Dolph Ziggler, it was the fact that he lost the fucking belt in transit. It's like, how many times do people with belts have to travel around every week in the history of this company, and Dolph's the guy to lose the fucking belt?
Well, to be fair, he put it in his bag. And
yeah.
Like, I remember, was a Punk saying he used to have to go around, like, he had that Money in the Bank twice. He'd have to go around and, like, see, he was lucky it was a black briefcase, but now it's like the big luminous red thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just like...
Gold, isn't it?
It's gold, yeah, with the thing, the belts now, but like, yeah, like you can't get away in the airport with that thing, you know. Seth Rollins actually tried to do it, remember, about 2 months ago.
Yeah, I do indeed. Okay, the next segment was just hell. Adam Rose and the Exotic Express came to the ring.
I didn't even understand this.
Okay, let's go through it. Honda, right? I think her name is Hona. Hona is her name. Hona and Katy Lee Gifford. So Katy and Regis obviously had this long-running television show in the States. And wrestlers would always appear on it. Like, it was very good. The Warrior appeared on it in Full Gear. Taker appeared on it. Regis, has done stuff with the WWE. They always had a friendly relationship. Rick Rude actually appeared on the show once with Katy's face on his tights. That was pretty funny. Is that the
one where Undertaker and Bear brought the casket in for Yokozuna?
Did they do it on Regis and Katy?
It was for Regis.
Well, there you go. But anyway, Regis is long since retired, and Hona has taken his place. And she is a 50-year-old woman who looks 70. These two danced down to the ring with the Exotic Express, got in. There's a table set up with wine. They sat down and were immediately shat on by the Brooklyn native. Kathy tried to play up saying that they love being in Brooklyn. Her mother was born in Brooklyn. They're doing every trick in the book. The high spot of this segment, if you'd call it that, was Kathy Lee asking Hona to do her footy dance. This really, they thought would work.
No, but what was the reasoning behind? Like, I know this whole Susan G. Komen thing and all this, but I just
That's it. It's co-promotion. Cena was on their show.
I liked how they blared out Adam Rhodes' music for the whole segment. It's like, this'll quiet down this crowd.
That must have been the precaution.
Yeah.
So anyway, she gets the said music to turn up. She does her funny dance, which was anything but. And then for some reason, Kathy Lee Gifford thought it was a good idea to smash a wine glass over her bottom. Hona reciprocated by smashing a full bottle of wine, not gimmicked, I'm sure, over her bottom. And then Adam Rose said, "You're going to fit in here." Got them to do their dive on the Rosebud.
And you can see up there the skirts as well.
Is this a fact?
I would imagine if the camera had moved slightly more to the right, it was I'd say Jerry Lawler was like, "Ooh."
All I could imagine.
They're far too old for Jerry.
All I could imagine when I saw this segment was, you know that scene in Father Ted at the Eurovision when they're riding outside and they're like, "We better take him out the back door." It's a pretty angry crowd out there. I can just imagine Vince and Triple H having that conversation.
I just this was. You mentioned Bob Barker earlier. This is the polar opposites of how to do a celebrity segment.
We've seen some celebrity segments. Like,
no, we haven't.
The majority have been.
Well, there's been one or two have been alright. Like, especially the Bob Barker stuff was really good. But it's still like, what? I didn't know who these people were.
Okay, go on. When was the last good celebrity segment? If you're
Uh,
saying Bob Barker, that's over 4 years ago.
Well, there was that movie star who came in. Who was it? Oh yeah, The Rock had a decent segment.
Shaquille O'Neal had alright with Big Show.
That was
That was around the same time as Barker.
That was a world class 5-star WrestleMania match between Mayweather and Big Show, wasn't it?
That was before.
That was that was incredible. Everything Mayweather did was pretty much brilliant.
The only thing I don't
Except
get is why Vince has this whole idea of making it a world-renowned company and bringing in wrestlers from every single country under the sun, and giving them a push, and then just here's daytime TV for America.
It's all merchandise.
Not necessarily.
What is that thing today to sell merchandise?
Well, the idea was that Cena got on their show to plug Susan G. Komen, and they came on to be a part of it. I don't know. Either way, it was the shit. Bo Dallas and Mark Henry had another match. They're third in a week.
Henry turned heel yet?
This is the implication, but it's not very clear. The finish.
He's still getting massive pops.
Well, that's because he's against Bo Dallas, and Bo Dallas hasn't done anything redeeming. The finish saw Henry try to give Bo Dallas the world's strongest slam through the announce table. As he was picking him up, Bo Dallas snuck from behind, got back into the ring, and then Henry had to be even slower than he actually is to not make it in for the count. It looked terrible. It was just awful. Okay, so in a play straight out of Raw 1997, Steve Austin, after being in the first segment at the top of the hour, Dean Ambrose came back out. He was in the ring. He said that he had told John Cena not to give him a reason to dislike him, and unfortunately he invited Cena out. Cena came out, was very rude to Ambrose, saying that you would have done the same thing to me in Abandoned SmackDown, went to leave.
And
that
he
would
also
have been
said
one
he
for the
jumped him
books.
as well off the wall thing.
Oh yes, he did mention earlier on in the night that Ambrose had jumped on him when he was brawling with Rollins. So they basically got into it. It was all the same kind of usual nonsense between the two. Cena said, "We can go at it right now." Dean paused for a while, said he was hungry and he was going to go to Coney Island and ride the amusements, and then he walked out, and Cena acted baffled, saying "hot dog" over and over again in the ring, trying not to laugh. Good man Cena putting over Dean anyway.
Ambrose was he was good.
Ambrose was always good.
But it's just like it was just so easy for him. Cena just had nothing. It was just like the crowd were shitting all over him as usual. But it was just Ambrose didn't even have to do anything, and he was just getting. It was incredible. It was just incredible, the difference. Just hope they really if that was even Reigns in the ring, he wouldn't have been getting half as
We'll
much.
talk about bloody Reigns in a minute.
Oh, what was the point in that?
That theme music of Ambrose was really getting when you hear it sort of thing, like you did with Austin or even The Rock. That end
I completely agree, John. But the one thing I do, and I've said this from the get-go, there's too many. It falls back to too many times. There needs to be more of a just let the music run. It just keeps repeating that.
But the whole thing I think about him is he's one of those that I can never see him just having an entrance. He's always going to be the person who legs it into the ring to attack someone. Like, so you just need that like opening second.
That's a really good point.
If Vince McMahon is listening, will you just make him the face of the company, please?
Yeah, well, I've
saying the same thing about Brian last year.
I've been championing this on every single podcast. Backstage, we had sarcastic Triple H, who's always tremendous fun.
Yes.
Telling Cena that even though he'll have the C Nation behind him, Rollins and Kane and Orton will have an advantage because Dean has walked out. He told him that the one thing he can do to make it easier for him is that Rollins will start the match, telegraphing what everybody knew what would happen in the main event. And then he read the keep calm and never give up line that was on Cena's t-shirt in a fantastic fashion and walked off. Hunter's just great.
Yeah, he's not been on Raw much lately though, but what he has done, he has been effective.
Definitely. We had Brie Bella beating Summer Rae with one arm tied behind her back.
What's going on with that theme song, by the way?
Oh, the Brie Mode! It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know.
I can't remember who said it. It was on something I read today or listened to today at work, but it just goes, Brie can barely wrestle anyway, and they took a limb away from her.
I just can't believe this Bella feud is still continuing.
I remember I tweeted, I remember when Daniel Bryan and Kane were trying to do each other. It was like...
What?
Would have been in the middle of 2013 or something, and it was probably like around the chamber time, and they were like, yeah, I'm better than you and all this. So Kane, or Bryan then decided to take on, I can't remember who took on. He might have been Swagger or something with one arm tied behind his back.
Oh, God.
And it was just like, or was he blindfolded or something?
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, like, to be honest. It was stupid but funny. And it's just like, I think I tweeted, like, yeah, Daniel Bryan, even with one arm so behind his back, is talented than every single other wrestler in the locker room. Like,
well, the same cannot be said for his wife. I just can't believe this feud is continuing. And
is it for Total Divas?
I don't think
they must be building up to that in Total Divas.
Total Divas asked for the feud. So that's all I know.
Do you know that no one on Total Divas can win the Divas Championship?
Yeah, this came out last week. There's direct orders that for basically, and I understand why. First off, I thought it was because they're getting so much exposure anyway. You know, why do you need to do it? But the reason is because it's so far behind. Yeah. So if somebody's champion on TV, they'd have to basically keep the belt on someone for a tremendously long time.
So that's why they're kind of playing hot potato with Paige.
With Paige.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to pull that for Ken.
I'm very glad you did.
Yeah.
It shows you care.
Hey, why did they put Nikki in the main event at whatever the last event was?
SummerSlam?
Yeah. Well, not the main event, but the title match.
The Unforgiven one.
I don't, because they had... at one stage this year, 3 Diva storylines going on at once, and it was a way of consolidating.
There's 3 Diva segments every week on Raw now.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you
control.
doing?
It is out of control.
It's shocking.
So I don't think they've ever given more time to a feud that just hasn't gotten over. Like, people just don't care. They didn't even have Nikki do her usual promo before the match. It came back from ad break. Brie's arm was...
I wanted you dead in the womb!
Brie's arm was being tied behind her back, and with just the commentators to explain it. Okay, so backstage we had Miz and Mizdow delivering a fruit basket to Kane to apologise for their actions last week. Kane saw through it. He basically said that nothing was going to be resolved through this, and he said that Miz was pretty much insulting him by trying it, so he was going to have to face Sheamus tonight.
Mizdow, by the way, is bloody brilliant.
Yes, and the crowd reciprocated.
Have you noticed even when Miz is in like he's like doing a submission or something, Sandow is in the exact same face.
Yeah, he did the figure 4.
And he's doing the exact same face on the side.
Did you see this?
Yeah, it's
where he dropped down. You disappeared out a shot to deliver a figure 4 to Invisible
I've always
Man.
loved Sandow, but like he's actually, like, you know, they have him dressing up as like random basketball players and like animals, and you got what they were dressing up as every week. Like, he's actually doing really well here, and he's actually carrying the Miz.
You have to give him.
He's bringing
credit.
the Miz to a good level, I think. You know, of how much you can hate him.
There's very few people who could be given this gimmick and really make it work, and he's doing a great job. And this was seen in the Sheamus match, which we'll get to in a moment. Mizdow came back in and took the basket and said, Jack Swagger beat Tyson Kidd. I actually did think this was a good little match.
Yeah, I think they could have something really good.
Yeah, basically they're moving the Total Divas / NXT storyline of Tyson being in the shadow of Natty to Raw. It's nice to see Tyson on Raw. He's just, everything he does is so crisp. He's beyond good.
Like, why? I know they've been having him down, and obviously he will work amazing matches down in NXT with like Sami Zayn.
And he'll teach.
Oh yeah, of course. But guys, just give him, like, what did Punk say before one of his like pipe bomb promos? He said like, you've got a workhorse like Tyson Kidd.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Who is just like never on the show, and he's
so good.
It's just like even in the Hart Dynasty, like they had some really good matches with him and the Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah,
Jr.
you know what the testament to Tyson is, and I noticed it last night, is that after everything that's happened, he still gives it his all. Like he's excellent.
Like I'm glad they're actually pairing him with Natalia, but not in this. They should just actually like. I'd love to see him just have a crack at like the IC belt against Ziggler.
I think
just a one-off.
I think they're very naive to think everybody who watches Raw watches NXT and Total Divas, because they didn't really go into much explanation about it. The commentators did, but
I had no idea who he was.
Really?
No.
I mean, he's probably top 3-4 wrestlers they have.
I would now that's a bit tough now that they've got Devitt and Steen and Kenta in.
Well, in the main roster.
Is he on the main roster? Is even arguable. Anyway, the finish was
on Raw last 2 weeks.
The finish was the 2 weeks.
He was on it. He fought, didn't he? He was in a tag match.
On the side.
And I remember he was playing his Game Boy or something.
Oh right, he was accompanied. Oh, that's right. Okay, so the finish saw Swagger beat him with the Patriot Lock after he was trying to get Natty to push the ropes in towards him, so he could grab them. And they didn't really.
Is that
do
a story as well?
that
They're doing in Total Divas that they're doing. Him and Natty are going to get divorced or something, and they're bringing it to Raw.
It's
or
that
what,
he's in her shadow, and the chant that the NXT guys at Full Sail always do is Natty's husband is the chant. So we'll see what happens.
Even though she's pretty good though.
We had Michael Cole doing a crossover to Connecticut, where Edge and Christian, looking really old, were standing there to plug their network special about the 15th anniversary of SmackDown. Now I don't know if this was planned, but they buried Michael Cole for the way he did introduce them. But the way Michael Cole had to introduce them was just really, really bad anyway. So this came off tremendously funny. They questioned how Michael Cole still has a job. Go ahead, John.
It was. I thought it was brilliant. And they have a DVD coming out as well. Which
Do they?
Yeah. There's ads for it, and they took out what's the thing they have to sing people's tunes.
To sing people's tunes.
You know, they did Benoit's, and they did. And they did
the Yazoo thing.
Yeah, they took out their Yazoo and they did Wyatt's team. Did no one else see this?
No.
Where was this?
It was online or something. I was watching it today. It is the funniest thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a DVD coming out to remember like all the classic Edge and Christian moments. Like
that's fucking brilliant. I'd love to see Christian wrestle again. Okay, so we had this interview that they've been building up all show about Roman Reigns. They were very careful in the way that they worded it, to the point where you didn't know if he was actually going to be in the building or not.
I think he was in the building though.
Yeah, I think he was too. But the one thing I do know about it is that it was a pre-tape. Now, how they let this air, he kept in between every single sentence. It was
Yeah.
He was so monotoned. He looked like he just didn't come off. There's no way that somebody who's a lapsed fan or who perhaps doesn't watch wrestling anymore, right, could have sat in on this Raw, seen this guy, be like, oh, I don't know, who's he? Have you ever heard the Shield? Oh, yeah. Oh, he's a guy who was in the Shield. He's going to main event WrestleMania.
That won't happen.
You know, you couldn't convince
I
anybody.
barely have him in my card.
You couldn't convince somebody that this was the guy.
Because his push wasn't working that well either, I didn't think.
But when they get their mind behind something...
I can't remember the last time they had their mind behind something that's really like worked out or
no. Well, obviously
they've changed it.
You know, they wanted Dave last year, and they had to. Their hand was forced to be changed.
I think they have to have plans, obviously,
backup plans.
But obviously, I think that Ambrose has stepped right into that.
I do too, and I just think that the idea that with Bryan coming back around the time of the year where they hit storylines, January, and with the rise of Ambrose, like I don't understand how anybody could bet on him being anything short of third best place for that spot right now. But we'll see what happens. Next up we had El Torito against the Gator. Last week when Hornswoggle came out in the Gator outfit, I thought it was fantastic. 1 week later, and
he's still wearing the outfit.
I'm done with it. And the crowd were done with it. They were chanting, "This is stupid."
Did you see, to sum up how bad this was, after the dragon pinned the lizard or whatever it was, right? It went to the commentator's desk.
Yeah.
And all I saw was Michael Cole with his head in his hands.
Yeah.
Just like, is it over? Can we get back to this?
There's no doubt in my mind that Vince McMahon told him to do that, because that was how Vince McMahon was feeling at that time. The crowd shat all over this. So just to recap, the crowd had seen in this hour Brie Bella versus Summer Rae, Jack Swagger versus Tyson Kidd, who's never on television, in a squash match, Roman Reigns give the most boring interview that you've ever seen in your life, and a bull against a gator. Like, they were killing this crowd, and if they didn't give them what they gave them next, I could only imagine what would have happened.
I forwarded that whole, what was it, about half an hour, 40 minutes.
That PlayStation 4 controller of mine is getting closer and closer to me. While like this first hour, this is the first time I've stayed up not drinking to watch Raw.
Right.
With the day after work.
That's dedication. Thank you for doing it.
And I was like, right, I'm doing the show for Neill. I said I'd watch it, and I was tempted, like, I'll just read it. I was like, right. And then it's like Rusev coming up next. Like, oh god.
Yeah. So this was Rusev was out, and it had felt like in between every segment they plugged this. Lana came out, and she was just doing the usual thing, saying that they're all cowards like the Big Show for doing what they did to the flag. Yada 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 yada. Then Rusev challenged the Big Show to come out. He didn't come out, and then the Rock's music hit, and people were literally falling out of the rafters. This ovation was like, it was one of those ovations that was so loud, it almost like was just one tone, a really high-pitched tone.
I'm pretty sure I stood up and gave a bit of applause. I got very excited.
I was fading, and
this kept me going.
Yeah, it was incredible. Rock came out.
Did they do this on purpose to literally make the show shit?
No, because I think it was.
Honestly, like it just.
I think it was supposed to be a Big Show, but then Rock was in town. They're like, you go out there.
Yeah, I definitely think that this wasn't like weeks in the making. But Rock came out. He looked gigantic.
He's got bigger.
Here's one thing for you that I noticed, and I could be off, but I watched the WrestleMania opening segment very recently with him and Hogan and Austin. Yeah. I swear I thought that Rock had aged at least 5 years since that segment. I thought he looked really old in the face. Am I out of my mind?
It's not helping if he's getting up at 4:30, pumping iron or whatever.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, so Rock had some great lines. He came out and he said that Vladimir, he said that that Rusev wore his pants up to his tits, and he was showing his, what did he say, it was his Moscow moose knuckle. I think is how he described his dick. He did his usual Rock shtick, saying that, which is my favourite Rock line he did his whole return, saying that he got up at 4 a.m. and was in the gym. This is direct quote, clanging and banging like a madman. This guy is just
but he's allowed to say what he wants.
But he has
buried
Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah,
because Roman Reigns with the here's this bloke who's just walking down the street who just goes, you know what I might do today? I might get a bit of a popped into it, like a bit tired, but I'll go in here, have a bit of crack, and just like, here's a new guy headlining WrestleMania. Yeah, sore.
I want to put my vest back on, which is actually what he said. I'm trying to think of other Rock lines that were great. He said that Lana was very beautiful, but she needed to stop walking around like she had a bottle of Smirnoff shoved up her Putin, which I thought was incredible.
Did you think this isn't? I think it's better for Rusev that this happened.
Definitely,
because he's in the Rock. Like,
it's the rub. Anybody who thinks that this is a slight on Rusev is nuts. And for those of you wondering, all reports kind of seem to suggest that this won't be a WrestleMania match. And I don't think it should be.
I don't think so either.
I think if you're bringing Rock back, you could do an awful lot with Rock. You could do Rock Reigns. You could do Rock if they really want to put Reigns over, because family and all that. You obviously Rock Lesnar is the match that Rock wants, because he feels that he's basically said he's not going to come back for a match he doesn't think can do bigger business than him and Cena, and the only person he could do that with is Lesnar. So I wouldn't get my hopes up, but this was just an incredible segment. It finished with them going at it after Lana set Rusev on the Rock. He didn't do anything spectacular; he just pretty much punched him outside the ring, and the crowd loved it. It was incredible, and it was a really special moment because nobody knew it was going to happen. I was so bored by the show, I started reading news during it, and I had happened to read that Rock was in the New York area, and I wish I hadn't. Was it a complete and utter surprise for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I stayed away from everything I possibly could about it. Like,
right.
I was getting ready for bed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'll read about it tomorrow, whatever it was. And it lifted me up for a good bit.
It was absolutely spectacular. We have a special guest. Sully has joined us. We don't have a mic though.
No, we told him we were reviewing WrestleMania 2000, and he just had to be here.
Okay, let's take a pause for the cause, and we're gonna fix Sully up with a mic and a seat.
I'm good.
And we're back. Okay, so that was the Rock segment, incredible. We're joined by Sully now in the background. If you hear some dulcet tones, hi Sully, just say hi.
He won't say anything.
No one's going to believe he's here.
Yeah.
Okay, are you going to Viacom to kill the Yellow Man? I'm not talking to an invisible person.
Racism.
No, I'm just cutting Springsteen. Okay, so
That's true, actually.
it is. Yeah. By the way, did you see the teasers on Instagram for the new Muse album?
Yes.
What Matt Bellamy's growing his hair out,
Yes.
and they're going to make it a complete rock album.
Yes.
I was literally crying.
When's this due? 2015?
Just means they're going to play the O2 again, which is great.
Glastonbury headlining, supposedly.
What do you think of that? I sent the message of Fleetwood Mac as well.
If it's Fleetwood Mac,
AC/DC and Muse, that's just ridiculous.
I'll go to Glastonbury. I'll see them all, and I'll
go to Baltimore,
and I'll do myself in on the way out because I'll never be that happy again.
Exactly. But now if Jared wins the league, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Wrong show. Okay, we had Paige and Alicia against Emma and AJ. This was awful. Poor old Emma getting trotted out here, and I think they asked her to do more of her wacky dancing.
It's because nobody likes AJ. She has no friends.
Yeah.
And then Emma, she brought out the mentally challenged one.
Yes.
And then left her alone to be beaten to death.
Yeah, that's not
in
really
her own shoes.
Just gonna quote Wayne through there.
It's not really a typical babyface move, is it, to have AJ walk out on her only friend?
She the babyface? Is she?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
I don't mind that division. It's just stupid.
Okay, so we had
considering that we already saw so half of them can't even win the belt.
That's true.
So it leaves two of them.
We had Miz versus Sheamus. The crowd was just not into this. I couldn't really make out any of the chants. Could you?
No.
They were just very unhappy. They were chanting for that guy The Rock mentioned. What's his name? Some sort of sports guy affiliated with New York. I don't have my notes with me. I can't remember who it was.
But like, in fairness, New York aren't going to like either of them, are they?
Mizdow was getting a lot of support from the crowd. That's one chance I could make out. He was the star of the match, and even the announcers acknowledged it. So we had the former IC champion being the current US champion. It's just a lateral move, really, for Miz going onto these. Susan G. Komen, representative, came out and talked about breast cancer for a while. The crowd were actually very nice about this. I was worried that they'd been so jaded.
Yeah, there's no humanity left in the world. They're going to be like, boo, boo cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they can do it anywhere pretty much and to be alright. Like, you know, like
but after
no matter how bad the show is.
After that show, if it wasn't for The Rock, I would have questioned.
Like, you know, like, well, we'll talk about this was the overall rating you will give to the show. But if you took The Rock out of the show, like, The Rock probably brought it up to about a 5.
Okay, well, we'll do it now. The match basically only went a few minutes.
Team RKO?
Team Rollins, Kane, and Orton. That's actually very clever. Credit to WrestlingObserver.com for that.
Yeah, I didn't see it off your sheet either.
Against now you know where I get my notes. Against John Cena. So this was like pretty quick. They couldn't really do much, being 3-on-1. Then in a move straight out of the Steve Austin playbook again, Dean Ambrose came out with a hot dog trolley, I suppose you'd call it.
It's good to see the network hasn't cost wrestling so much money, where it's like Austin got the beer truck, Angle got the milk truck, Ambrose gets a hot dog.
No, he got ketchup and mustard, actually.
Which he proceeded to spray over all the heels. He then got some tongs and got sets.
That was actually hilarious. It
wasn't the worst segment.
That was very funny.
It was the Bratverse segment.
Yes. Oh, he's been waiting all night for it.
He's already mentioned this earlier, so it wasn't no big shock to me.
I want to puns, people.
Okay,
puns.
so the finish was
Buns.
The finish was a DQ, as usual. And
by a big boot, apparently.
I just
There's no blood rules getting going too far.
So it was left with we might not have juice anymore, but we have ketchup or catsup. So we had Triple H come out with Steph to make the announcement that at Hell in a Cell, because they wanted Seth so badly, they were going to have to fight for it. It was going to be John Cena versus Dean Ambrose, and the winner would get Seth in a Hell in a Cell. They didn't mention who the loser would get, although people are thinking it's going to be Orton. So that's double duty for both of them on the pay-per-view.
It won't be double duty, surely.
Well, you know, they'll both fight twice. I don't know. But the idea then to have Stephanie say, "You're both going to hell," and the crowd not reacting, just kind of epitomised the whole show. The finish then saw Ambrose double arm DDT Cena to a huge ovation. Now, is this a new finisher rather than his stupid headlock DDT? Because I'm telling you, he needs a better finisher, and he can hit it a lot quicker. So I hope this is a new finisher for Dean. It's just amazing that a couple of weeks out from Hell in a Cell, they're only announcing the match now. Because if you subscribe to the network the day of WrestleMania, your sub went out today. Okay? So if you subscribe the day of WrestleMania, your sub went out today. And this is what this was the show they put on to get people to resubscribe. They announced 2 matches for Hell in a Cell.
And The Rock, as probably 2 hours before.
But The Rock's not going to do anything for the.
No, what I mean, like for the show though.
Yeah.
We're probably the Edge and Christian thing.
Okay, really quickly, John. How would you rate this?
2 out of 10. 2. It was dreadful.
Okay.
5 because The Rock was on it. But if The Rock wasn't on it, I would probably give it 1.5.
Okay. Just a quick podcast roundup. If any of you guys listen to either of these, just chime in. If not, I'll go through it. So we're going to try and keep up over the last couple of weeks. Jericho had a 2-parter with Kevin Smith.
I listened to that. Jericho couldn't believe his luck that he got that interview.
Yeah, Kevin Smith. Do you know what? My bass player said this. And I thought he was right in the money. He's a huge Kevin Smith fan. I was saying how Kevin Smith really just controlled the interview. He spoke loads. And he said he kind of commands interviews without ever being overbearing, which I kind of found true. I never once was like, "Oh, you shut up." He can really talk. He's a very interesting guy.
Yeah, his film bombed at the box office there, so that's why he's doing
new one?
almost every podcast.
So that's how Jericho got it.
Pretty much, yeah.
What's your favourite Kevin Smith film?
Don't know.
Do you know any Kevin Smith films?
No.
Well, I
probably know him if I see him.
Into the mic, darling.
Know him if I see him.
What about yourself?
I'd pretty much like them all, but like to be his best one's obviously Clerks, but I prefer Mallrats because nobody likes it.
I actually like Mallrats. Jericho also had a porn star on. I did not listen to that. Austin,
what?
Yeah, somehow.
Who? Ron Jeremy?
No, would you talk into the mic?
Sorry, Ron Jeremy.
No, not Ron Jeremy. Some sort. It was a female.
She tasty.
They have female porn stars now.
Austin had a lot of shows.
A male porn star.
Austin had a lot of shows from down in Atlanta where he's filming the new series of I don't even know which one it is. It's Broken Skull Challenge or Redneck Island. I think it's Redneck Island or something like that.
Grown Ups 3.
It could be. He definitely has that gig lined up. But he had his driver on, not much. On this show, it was him driving around Los Angeles and complaining about people not using their indicators. It was far more entertaining than it sounds.
Sounds as good as that Hogan's new program.
Did you see on the Jericho podcast, he read a chapter from his new book?
I missed that. Was it any use?
Yeah, it was about his thing with Sean.
Okay, go ahead.
Where he punched his wife?
With that storyline and how that he got in a big fight with that he brought in the no blood thing because Sean lost so much blood, and just how the storyline behind it now. It's really good.
Really?
It's a long story, but
was that the Great American Bash match where Sean did that gusher?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was an incredible match. All their matches in 2008 were fantastic.
They didn't need the strap in it though.
Ross had 2 very good podcasts for once in a row. He had Dave Meltzer on to review the last pay-per-view, and he had Magnum TA from WCW fame. Not much from Magnum TA's career that if you were interested in him, you wouldn't already know, but it's always interesting to hear from the man himself about the idea that he was going to get the belt before he was in a terrible car crash that brought an end to his career. But they were grooming him for a feud with Flair, and he had some very interesting feuds with Nikita Koloff and an incredible I Quit match.
When did he was in the car crash? It was 90...
It was 87 or 88.
So 88 was it? I thought it was like 92 or 3.
No. He was commentating in the early 90s for WCW.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't think so.
Piper had EC3 on, formerly Derek Bateman. I didn't listen to that. Goldberg actually deviated away from the usual NFL stars and had Edge on the show. So
I heard he had Edge on it. I didn't hear it.
I'm definitely going to check that out. MLW, anything from MLW in the last... Or sorry, not MLW, you don't listen to that. The Law. Anything interesting from The Law?
Nothing. They're reviewing the first ever SmackDown. That comes out tomorrow. Cause it's
we did that on this show.
And it's just released on the network.
Okay.
And then nothing else. Reviewed the pay-per-view. That was about it for now.
Cole Cabana had DDP on. I'm being a little bit unfair and cynical and jaded.
Has Cole Cabana not have Punk on yet?
Yeah, he has, yeah.
Since he's left?
Oh, no, he hasn't. He has had him there in the background, but he hasn't done a formal interview.
Should.
I hear DDP's into yoga now.
No shit. Yeah, again, if you've heard any DDP interviews over the last... Oh, bro, it's not your mama's yoga. Like, it's just the same shit all over again. Okay, our classic review is WrestleMania 2000. This took place in Anaheim, the same place as WrestleMania 12. So it's weird coming back to the same building 4 years later after the Bret and Shawn Iron Man match. The most interesting note about this pay-per-view, and I guess I'll leave the criticisms till the end, but
I know what you're going to say.
This is their biggest year they ever had, was year 2000. but this by no means was a stellar show. There was a lot better shows.
I presume the point you're going to make is there wasn't one one-on-one match.
Yeah, there wasn't
the whole card of WrestleMania.
Vince Russo had left the company in September 99, but in a weird way, and this is up for debate because WrestleMania 15 did feel very Russo-rific. But this card, especially with no singles matches, did. The opener was the thrown together tag team that just becomes a trivia note at a pub quiz at this stage of D'Lo Brown and the Godfather versus Big Boss Man and B Squared Bull Buchanan. This was just absolutely no great shakes.
Your man Ice-T was rapping.
Oh, Ice-T
He was going around pimping him easy for about 8.5 minutes. Going around, and he was actually getting exhausted. He could not hack it anymore.
He did say, "Grab your bitches."
It's so loud.
Grab your bitches!
What a way to start off WrestleMania. Imagine that. He's like, honey, look, listen, I know it's a bit expensive, but I'm thinking of bringing little Trevor to WrestleMania. Yeah? It's like, you should come too. It's just, I know you don't watch it, and I know I spend 2 hours every Monday night watching this, and another 2 hours watching Nitro, but trust me, it'll be great family fun. 20 seconds in. Grab your bitches!
The Godfather was wearing. Godfather made a lot of his WrestleMania moment. Well, he did have the dress, but he was also wearing. He's also wearing Chris Jericho's light up jacket.
Okay, so the finish was I don't even remember.
Bull off the top with the
leg drop.
The leg drop. That was actually a pretty good finisher for the size of him.
He had a good leg drop.
He had a good leg, and the scissors kick as well.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
But he wasn't very good otherwise, wasn't it?
Next up was an absolute fucking clusterfuck. It was a hardcore battle royal. What was the time limit? 15 minutes?
15 minutes, and the whole thing about this was Taz was the champion for a while. At the title
keeps the champion coming in.
No, Crash was.
Oh, Crash was
the champion coming in.
And there was pins throughout the match.
There was every time you get a pin, you're the champion. And Taz was champion, and he started pinning other people. He didn't understand the logic of it.
Before we get to it, let's go through the amazing cast of characters that graced us in this Hardcore Battle Royal. We had the APA, Funaki, Mosh, Trasher, who I forgot were still around in 2000, Crash Holly, Hardcore Holly, all the Mean Street Posse, Takamishinoku, Taz, and Viscera. So this was the equivalent of what would become the pre-show Battle Royal back in the day to try and get everybody a WrestleMania payoff. Basically, the finish was completely fucked up.
Did you see, was it Joey Abs? Was it Pete Gas? Was absolutely, he was gushing blood. Like, he went far too. Was he the real wrestler, or was that Joey Abs?
Joey Abs was the real wrestler.
Joey Abs. It was Pete Gas was literally, he must have gone, this will be easy. Oh no, he was literally pumping blood.
Somebody might have done a
The best moment of this match was Viscera was on charge or whatever, and it's just JR who goes, Viscera is a planet.
And the botch finish.
Only in the Attitude Era.
Where Crash was supposed to win, and the fighting Irishman Tim White called it 3, and then JR's like, I thought Crash kicked out. It's like, no.
Yep. So Hardcore Holly ended up being, I believe, the first person in WrestleMania history to win a match when he wasn't supposed to.
And Crash won it back the exact same night.
Of course he did. Next up, we had Head Cheese, which was Al Snow and Steve Blackman, for those of you who don't remember.
With a block of cheese.
With a block of cheese on Steve Blackman's head.
It was, who was his name? Christopher, was it? The block.
The block had a name?
Yeah.
The block of cheese had a name.
Was it Chris? Or is it...
Did they refer to this on the show itself?
Yes. They said get in the ring there. Was it Christopher or something? Or what was his name?
Steve Blackman tried to kill whoever it was with a bro kick.
Did he?
He did. And Al Snow threw him to the ground first, and then he gave him a bro kick.
It's against Test and Albert.
Trish was looking... Jesus.
Oh, another good quote from this was Jerry Lawler, because it was Test and Albert, they were called TNA, and Jerry Lawler goes, I'm a big fan of TNA, and Test and Albert are good too.
Classic King. So we had Test and Albert go over here. So just for those of you taking note, this is WrestleMania, and the first 3 matches,
3 heel wins.
Although one wasn't planned, I guess it's fair to say. Dave Meltzer gave this match -1/4 star.
I saw that. That match was terrible. Like the Boss Man and the Godfather match looked like freaking world beater compared to this. Like, it was that bad.
In a prelude of the 2 TLC matches that would define their careers, the Dudley Boys faced Edge and Christian and the Hardys in a triangle ladder match. Now, I would prefer the 2 TLCs, the one that SummerSlam 2000 and then WrestleMania the following year. But this match, I remember at the time,
is the match
blew my mind.
There's something like this will never happen again.
No.
Even Hardy's 450 splash onto a bladder.
Yeah. People forget Jeff could do a 450 back in the Attitude Era days.
I'm surprised he can even bend anymore.
I know. He's actually in great nick still.
It was an incredible match.
Miraculously. It was an incredible
like
match.
some of the bumps in it, like, you know, they were just like really did make Edge and Christian, though, didn't it? Like, you know, they have been they were clearly the most successful, and they won all 3 of the TLCs, didn't they?
I don't know if they won all of them. Did they?
I think they did.
That's interesting. I know they definitely won.
They
2.
won the 2 Manias anyway.
Okay.
Did Dudley's maybe win the
SummerSlam?
SummerSlam?
Or was the Hardys win
No, well,
I think
SummerSlam was the
Christian
first
3.
one, and Edge and Christian won that.
No. The first one was WrestleMania.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
Yeah, so WrestleMania 2000 was the triangle ladder match.
Then it went to
SummerSlam 2000
TLC.
was TLC.
Then it went to
Yeah.
TLC 2.
That's what I said. TLC was the first, not SummerSlam.
Ah, okay.
The first TLC match. But
Yes,
Yeah, that's what
that
I
is
said.
a fact.
it was the second ladder match. So.
I remember this exciting me a lot when I was a naive young boy. It was Terry Runnels with the Fabulous Moolah against the Cat with Mae Young.
What was this about?
Val Venus was the special guest referee. There was just loads of Terry Runnels bottom, basically.
Oh, there was a lot of bottom. It was
they
a
were
very
so
good
into
bottom.
showing her bottom in the year 2000.
This is the first time I'd really watched this since I was a wee lad, and I didn't realise how sexual Val Venus actually was.
He was, and he'd been toned down at this stage, John.
Yeah.
He'd been toned down.
I've been going through a lot of the Attitude Era now, and Jesus Christ.
It's gas, isn't it?
Yeah, we had Terry Runnels winning this. I think was it with a Bronco Buster? That's the spot I remember.
Yeah,
vividly.
I think Mae Young tried to do it to Moolah as well, I think.
Mae Young got a nice tongue down Val's throat there.
That's kind of how they baited her in.
Sure,
So
Mae Young
you'll
was
get to
jumping
get
on the
this
second rope doing like Stone Cold salutes and everything. It was just like,
Just to, because I'm sure it'll never be mentioned on the podcast again. Did you ever see Stephanie's bachelorette party?
Yes.
When May and Moolah have sex with the bartender or something. Stephanie's like, I don't think I should have any more. And they're like, ooh, I'm going to take this stripper. And they're like, they come in from a room and they're like, that was some good sex.
even though they were probably seeing each other in real life.
And who says Vince Russo was bad for the business?
But,
one other thing.
the one bachelor party I would have loved to see would have been Daniel Bryan's.
Yeah.
Imagine he took Kane out his Kane, Dr. Shelby, and like maybe CM Punk or something. Imagine the four of them.
Fantasy book this when
Can you imagine the four of them going to the pub? Punk refusing to drink, Kane and Bryan arguing, and Dr. Shelby in the middle of it all. I think it would just be hilarious.
Oh, Shelby. I love
because it'd be the three boyfriends of AJ in the space of a month.
Yeah.
Dr. Shelby. Why did they just
not do it?
Because he proposed the week before. And
okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Too Cool and Grandma Sexy and
China.
Too Hottie and China defeated the Radicals.
They're so over. Like they're so popular. Too Cool. It's ridiculous.
It is fucking insane how popular they were.
And China's pants ripped.
And Scotty was there like holding it up for her on the way out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, incredible! I actually forgot that China wrestled at WrestleMania against a guy. I guess this would count as that.
Which in 17 she destroyed Ivory, I remember.
Well, that was that was barely a match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was when they were playing up the whole neck injury thing. So Too Cool and China won that one. This was
There was a double worm actually.
Who did the second one? China?
No, there was a.
Oh, he did.
He did it on two.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Saturn sure did sell it.
Good man, Perry.
Yeah.
Do you remember he was homeless and completely missing for a few years?
And do you remember he was in love with a mop? He
forget.
dumped Terry's bottom for a mop.
Actually, do you guys know this? Since we're past the hardcore thing, do you remember Maven?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember he apparently sold his Tough Enough trophy on eBay? Right?
Oh.
But actually, what happened was he had left it in a storage container that he couldn't afford to pay for, so someone else bought it and sold it on eBay. And apparently, Maven is now a bouncer in New York. And if you go up to him and say, "Are you Maven?" He's like, "No."
Wow. Do they not have like shows on Discovery now where people go around and buy these old storage places?
Didn't
That's
he?
what happened.
I've got this old
Didn't
WWF.
he eliminate The Undertaker in 2002 and technically never got eliminated from that Royal Rumble?
He's one of the few people who never got eliminated from. No, Taker threw him back in and threw him back out.
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
He did. This is one of those urban myths.
Okay.
Can anybody name Maven's one-on-one WrestleMania match and the year and the opponent?
Raven.
No. Close.
Was it
Rhino.
No. It was for the hardcore title against somebody you just... This is
wasn't
just...
Al Snow or something, was it?
It was Goldust at WrestleMania 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They just brought Goldust back at the Rumble along with
even though
Bossman.
Goldust is in better physique now and having probably the best matches of his career the last maybe 12 months.
Yeah, you can't really deny that longer.
And it's I love him with Cody.
Yeah,
I don't know. I recently watched Goldust versus the Gold Meanie, and that was
Fuck me. Fuck me. All right. This was a two-fall match. Kurt Angle came in as the Euro Continental Champion. The first fall was for the European title. The first fall was for the Intercontinental, and the second for the European, which is just kind of weird.
This match wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
It was a three-way against Jericho and Benoit. Can you watch? Have you been watching many Benoit matches?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started doing the Monday Night Odyssey a few year back.
I love his WrestleMania 17 match with Kurt.
Can you watch Benoit matches?
Yeah. I can.
I do the same thing Jericho does. It's like different person.
Yeah.
But you see, we didn't know him.
I know. It's just I
know. Like you've got.
For me, it's not that I can't watch them. It's that I know that I'm not enjoying them as much as I could be.
But like you'd still enjoy the tag team match.
I didn't realize.
Against remember the beat trips.
Well, did you ever see the tag match from No Mercy 2002? Him and Angle against Edge and Ray.
Yes,
it was match of the year that year.
I should have forwarded him in the ring.
But I didn't realize that Benoit had given the championship and then went to Raw the next day. So he took a championship that had there was no champion in WCW.
Oh, you didn't know that?
And then he won it. And then the next week there was no champion.
That's right. Yeah, he bet Sid. In the main event of Sold Out 2000, and then
it was just after the Rumble he came in.
They came the night after, and fucked up Taz's push. They put Benoit in the position that they were going to put Taz in terms of the singles competition. There you go. Okay, so the first fall
Taz ended up in that fucking hardcore match instead.
Exactly. Jesus, Taz was only 3 months in at this stage. Yeah. They were both only 3 months in. So Taz bet Kurt Angle in the first fall for the Intercontinental, and Jericho beat Kurt Angle in the second fall.
Well, it could have been much better.
Yeah,
but the whole thing was though Jericho was supposed to be in the main event.
Jericho's going to be in the main event before they convince Foley to come back.
And then he's on all the posters, the four of them, and it's just like, where's Jericho in front of us?
But I thought Jericho wasn't liked at this point.
Yeah, but they were going to put him in it.
They probably saw the reaction they got from when he won the belt. In mid-April, like oh my god!
I've been following this. I've been watching the last few Attitude Era, like the Raws and the events, and it's a great moment where I think it's No Way Out before WrestleMania. And it's Kurt Angle versus Jericho for the Intercontinental. It's like Kurt Angel, I have a secret for you. You're a jackass. Just had me on the floor laughing. I have a secret for you.
Okay, Sorry about that. Semi-main event of WrestleMania in their biggest
this match business. Is just
Rikishi and Kane against X-Pac and Road
What
Dogg,
was the
still
point
facading his degeneration.
Paul Bearer.
We had Pete Rose come out again, didn't we?
Pete Rose. It was the gobbledygook out. And
Gook out?
It was the gobbledygooker. Yeah, the gobbledygook was out. Gobbledygooker was out.
What?
You said he was the gobbledygook out.
No, the gobbledygooker was out.
You said the gobbledygook out. I have it here, recorded.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bill.
Go for it.
And he was out anyway with that chicken man thing. And they all thought it was him again, because remember they just thought it was him, and then he came up with a baseball bat then to hit him with the point.
Is there a reason behind this segment?
They've never explained it.
They did it 3 years on the trot.
They did it. Undertaker's match. Undertaker.
Yeah, 14.
And then about Triple H.
Did you ever see the promo? He basically comes out of 14, and they're in Boston, and I can't remember who he was affiliated with, but anyway, the Boston crowd hate him anyway, and he was just trying to rile them up, and he was so bad but so good. He was like, "What about you? What do you think of that?" He's just running down their baseball team. So Kane comes out. This is just so Attitude Era. Kane comes out after having a blood feud with The Undertaker. Biggest heel in the company besides Shawn Michaels. And tombstones him to a babyface reaction. And then The Undertaker comes out and they have their match. It's just like, alright. And then the next year he came out as the gobbledygooker. And then this year they did the swerve with the gobbledygooker.
Just to keep adding to my fantastic commentary of the Attitude Era, Tori gets the stink face, which I still can't believe was ever a move.
Yes.
And after this, she has, quote, a terminal case of ass breath.
At least they continued their storylines back then.
Yeah.
They didn't drop stuff. Rikishi and Kane went over, and then they all danced and had a gay old time. The main event, Triple H...
the last time I saw Paul Bearer.
Was it?
A long time.
Okay. Triple H came in as champion in a four-way match between The Rock, Big Show, and Mick Foley, who had retired in the most dramatic fashion imaginable 5 weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
So, as noted, they were going to go
Jericho was supposed to take as well.
They were going to go with Jericho. They called Foley in. He said yes because he realised he had never had a WrestleMania moment, and also that he would make a lot of money. This match went 40 minutes. The gimmick was a McMahon in every corner. Stephanie with Trips. Vince with Rock. Foley had Linda. And Shane. Big Show with Shane. So, the first out was Show.
Rock bottom after about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Chair to the back. I know it was less. It was like 4 minutes.
Then we had the spot where Rock was laid out on Hunter's laid out on the table, and
This
Foley
made me laugh.
Foley goes to jump, and somehow in 5 weeks he got himself into shape that he couldn't even do that. He completely misses him. What's the Foley elimination?
Well, no, before that,
Rock
Triple H tries to put Rock through the table and jumps from the table. Doesn't break.
Yeah.
Does it again. And I think they get one guy in the crowd on mic just to say, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, Rock was like lied out, and then Foley was kind of down as well, and then Trips just kind of threw him in the ring, gave him 2 pedigrees, and then
He gave him
pedigree
pedigree
on
and
the
he kicked
chair.
out.
And then Foley ran back in and got the barbed wire nailed one more time.
Right. And then we had Vince turn.
And then Vince turned on Rock. Like him and Trips were in the ring for about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, I know they wanted, that should have been the one-on-one match.
This was supposed to be the...
Yeah.
Why didn't they
and
just...
Rock could have won. So we had Triple H winning with Vince turning. A couple of notable things coming out at the end of this show. Triple H was the first heel...
Rock bottom on Stephanie.
Rock bottom on Stephanie, okay. Triple H was the first heel to leave WrestleMania as champion. Yeah. Something retrospectively, as we've just talked about, that was ridiculous in hindsight. Although the Austin thing the next month was great and all, but you could have done that in a variety of different ways. Vince did his first ever blade job here and got a trickle out that JR still describes as a crimson mask. Hilarious. And my favourite moment of WrestleMania 2000, the post show. The lads are sitting there, JR and Jerry Lawler, with the broken table around them, and they go to a backstage interview with Michael Cole and Hardcore Holly. Michael Cole, as usual, per WWE interviewer standards, asks Hardcore Holly a completely benign question, to which Hardcore Holly responds, "Shut your mouth, you little shithead." So they come back, and JR is immediately like, "Oh, I'm very sorry for that colourful language used there by the Hardcore Champion." Just to go by the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer's star ratings, the triple ladder match got 4 stars.
3 stars max for the...
And the main event got 3 stars, which I actually believe is generous. I really do.
It wasn't great.
So this was just... It was a
5-star storyline coming into it.
Was this a clanger of WrestleMania, or did the one good match kind of make it tolerable for you guys?
I think... Well, see,
the one good match,
I think WrestleMania only got really big recently enough, because during the Attitude Era, they didn't have a good WrestleMania. The year before wasn't very good.
No.
Well, the year before that,
14 was alright.
The year after was undoubtedly what people still would say
17
is the best.
17 is still the best. And 30.
But
17 and 30.
17 I look at as the end of the Attitude Era in a lot of ways. Like,
best one, though.
19 is in terms of the people who are on top.
Just 4-star matches. 4 4-star matches.
4 4-star
on 17
plus matches, yeah. Okay, well, that was our WrestleMania 2000 review. Okay, guys, we're going to finish off the show with your dream WrestleMania 31
Can I do it
matches.
first, because mine's going to be mental?
Yes, please do. And I asked the guys to try and make it somewhat realistic. I'm so excited about this. All right, John, do you have yours ready to go?
I do know 1 second.
Do you want me to do it first?
No, I'll go, because I'm not.
Go.
To open the show, we have the tag team titles. We have the Mizdows versus the Nation Squared, as I'm calling them, Big E and Kofi.
That's perfectly acceptable. Who's the baby faces?
The Mizdows.
The Mizdows are baby faces.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I have the nonsense mid-card match. I've called it. I haven't really decided what it
Main
is.
Street Posse, isn't it?
Yeah. I have... I got quite good by that WrestleMania 2000, so I thought I'd have a 2-fall thing for the United States and Intercontinental.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Although they might be together. So for that, I have Fatal 4-Way of Barrett, Ziggler, Sheamus, and Cesaro.
Perfectly acceptable.
I have...
Pretty good, actually.
I have Reigns versus Cena, because I'm figuring 2 of them are going to have to wrestle at some point.
Okay, both baby faces going in.
I have The Rock, Rusev. I know I said it probably won't happen.
Okay, all right.
I have Rollins, Orton.
Okay, that would make sense, yeah.
And I'll bring it to Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Right.
It's a cold January night in Arkansas. Michael Cole is still a shithead.
The final 4 are going to be Barrett, Cena, Ambrose, and Bryan.
Fuck.
Right. Barrett's the first to go.
Okay.
Then Ambrose eliminates Cena. Then Bryan gets on top, right?
Okay.
And it looks like he's going to win. And then lights go out. And it goes up to the bleachers. And there's there's Sting, right? So Brian gets distracted. Ambrose wins. So
Why wouldn't Ambrose get distracted and Sting?
No, of course not. Ambrose is in a world of his own. So I have Sting versus Brian, and then title match Ambrose versus Brock, with Ambrose winning.
Okay.
So your semi-main is... This is incredible. Your semi-main is Brian and Sting.
Yeah.
Is Sting the heel?
Yeah.
Because he distracted Brian.
Yeah.
And Lesnar Ambrose.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. So no Taker.
No.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I fucking never ever... Will you send that to me? Okay.
Okay, so I have my one here now. This is probably a bit more realistic now, and I haven't done a 6-month plan or what's happening at the Royal Rumble or anything. All right.
How can you not have a title match?
So I'm not even going to do openers. I'm just going to work my way up. So the Divas title, I'm going to put that in. It'll be AJ, Naomi, Paige, and Brie Bella, and Paige is the champion going in.
AJ, Naomi, Paige, and Brie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tag team turmoil, it will be the Brotherhood versus the Usos versus Miz and Sandow and the Ascension.
That is a fair shout.
I think the Ascension will come in for the Wyatts. And they'll go for them.
Sorry, we didn't talk about that in the Raw thing. These videos
yeah.
about... So last week I showed the videos about Luke Harper.
Now it's about Rowan.
And now it's about Rowan. So
they're going separate, it looks like.
Okay. Are they going separate as a tag team away from Bray, or are they all three of them going their separate ways?
I think
they're
two of them
separate ways and face each other, so Wyatt can become face.
Oh God.
Okay. Then there'll be a massive another battle royale, or maybe another Andre thing or something. And I think the likes of Kenta will probably debut. Barrett could be in it. Harper, Big Show, Swagger. You know, the usual's kind of like that, right?
Would you have like Neville and stuff up by then, or?
Yeah, like Neville and your man Zayn and probably some of them lads. Just
okay.
And then I think Cesaro.
Sorry to cut across. You have to say a few of them for the next night, though, I presume as well.
Yeah, well, I was thinking maybe Kurt for the next night.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, for Monday Night Raw. Now maybe not to wrestle, but even just come back.
Right. I don't think that's happening. But anyway, that's not part of WrestleMania.
Okay.
So you keep.
So
going.
I'm gonna go. I don't see Daniel Bryan in a championship match, and I think they'll just put him in with Cesaro because it'll be like a 5-star match.
I think that match would be about 30 seconds long if it's just the two of them.
I think it'd be an incredible match if they gave it time, but I still think if Bryan's not going back into the title match, I still see them positioning him to a point where people will have to care about who he's fighting.
Sting.
It would be a good match. Then I'm going. I didn't know what to do with these guys. There's so many of them. So I'm going Undertaker v Sting, decade in the making match. I'm going to go John Cena v Rusev.
Okay.
I'm gonna
that John Cena v Rusev match is maybe the most likely match I've heard out of.
I'm going to do Sheamus v Dolph, and that was to unify the titles, which you can actually see there. It was in bold print that I printed off earlier, so I didn't nick that off you.
Yeah. Have you skipped the Hunter match there?
Yeah. So I'm going to do Trips, Randy, and Rollins against Reigns and Dean. In a 3v2.
Okay. All right.
They're a big fan
so
of
essentially,
3v2.
Reigns and Dean are going to get back together and going to go, we have to get rid of these guys once and for all.
Okay.
All right. And then the main event will be Brock v Rock.
Brock v Rock for the belt.
Yes.
Who wins?
I don't know. That's the problem.
That is a problem.
Yes. Because no one will be there the next night.
Let me have a look at your card. All right. What I'm going to...
And in my Hall of Fame guys as well, I have Sting, NWO, and Macho Man.
So you think that the NWO... Okay, so you think that...
So they'll go in as a pack this time.
They'll go in as a pack. So Nash will be the only one not to have gone in by himself. I don't
maybe they'll put Nash in first and then they'll do it next year.
No, I think there's as much a chance of that happening as them because obviously being featured
Ric
on...
Flair's in it 3 times, isn't he?
Twice. Yeah. He's in there once for his singles career, once for the Four Horsemen, and once for his many, many divorces. No, but the thing about the NWO is because they featured on TV this year, that's a pretty...
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it, like, you know.
And Sting
with the network.
Sting's a very safe bet if he ends up wrestling because they're also doing it in California. Well, lads, thanks so much for doing the show.
What's more realistic?
Definitely mine.
Well, we'll pick two matches there. What's going to happen, do you think? From either side?
I think from either side...
Nothing that I picked.
I know. I think Cena versus Rusev, Undertaker, Sting, and Brock Rock are all things that could definitely happen. If Brock and Rock happens...
See, Brock and Rock was the plan 2 years ago.
I don't know if it's going to be for the title. No, it's planned for last year.
Or for last year. Yeah, you know, it was 2 years
Okay,
ago.
well, listen, lads, thanks very much for doing the show. Thanks so much for bringing the classic review. And thanks so much for obviously doing your fancy cards. Dan, tell everybody about the ITK Soccer Show, the Twitter handle, when it goes up, where they can find it.
And for fun, the fancy football code there.
I don't have the fancy football on me. At ITK Soccer Show, follow on Twitter. And it's up every Tuesday. We put up a new episode there on Tuesday, and you can get that on Daniel O'Carroll on YouTube, or just look for us on Facebook or Twitter, and you'll find us all there.
Okay, and John, obviously, thank you very much for doing the show as well. And Sully, thank you very much for your contributions as our first ever live studio audience. Another peep.
He's giving a thumbs up.
A thumbs up. Okay, guys. You can check out the archives of This Ain't Fake and MMA on Dublin City FM at thisaintfake.com. Ken is returning next week, and we will have all the usual classic reviews, raw news, and podcast roundup. Until then, it's been This Ain't Fake, brother. We'll talk to you same time next week.